We begin with that new report on control of New York City schools. Among the findings, parents and teachers taking issue with their lack of involvement on how schools are run. In fact, one part of the report reads, quote, decisions made at the mayoral level may not align with the day-to-day realities that we face in the classroom. However, despite the report's nearly 300 pages, there was no official recommendation on control of schools. Rather, it suggests that all options be looked at.
Yeah, Mayor Adams was quick to blast this report. He's joining us now to discuss this further. Mayor Adams, thank you so much for coming on the Pix 11 News.
Thank you so much. You know, my mother used to say, keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing for education is, are we developing the full personhood of our children, from our daily breathing exercises to giving them mental health help 24 hours, 7 days a week with our teen space, but increasing scores. We are outpacing the state in reading and in math. And if you do an analysis since mayoral control was in place, pre-mayoral control, a 50-something% graduation rate and real disparities around ethnicity and people of color. Post-mayoral control, over 80%. And we've closed some of the disparity gaps that we've been dealing with. I don't know why we even having this conversation.
Mayor, you've called this report a sham. The report, as we mentioned, makes no official recommendation, only to call for more studying of this issue. So does the report even have any teeth?
No, it doesn't. But what it does, number one, the unwillingness to look at scores as an indicator, the unwillingness to look at other governance models across the entire country that is not dealing with mayoral accountability. And then to talk about the result is to do another study. That is just not logical, but it puts confusion in the air. You only had 500 parents that testified at these hearings, roughly. You have over 1 million students. And so when you have professional parents that come in and not hear from the rank and file parents of how well they're seeing their schools change from dyslexia screening to different phonics-based reading that the state is not picking up, all of these W's that we're seeing.
Wait, what's a professional parent? I'm just trying to understand what you're saying here, because you're trying to say that the parents that spoke in this report aren't real parents? Explain that to me.
Yeah, no, that's so important that you say that. When I use that terminology, there are those who mobilize at every event and just constantly are naysayers to our schools. You see them at every event. They're the loudest voices. But when you speak to the overwhelming majority of parents, there's just a different call. Like when I was running for office, people were saying, those same loud voices were saying, take school safety officers out of school. I said no to that. When we started doing forums with young people, the number 1 and 2 issues they asked for, school safety agents and dealing with mental health crises. That is what I say when we have to listen to those who are on the ground and really want to improve our school system.
But I just want to be clear on this, because the report says that essentially a lot of parents feel like, at least the parents that were talked to in the report, feel like they're not being listened to. And you're saying we need to listen to parents, but you have parents say they're not being listened to, and then you're saying, well, I'm sorry, you're not the right parent. So explain this to me. I want to understand it, that's all.
Okay, you could understand it, but you seem to feel as though that we are attacking parents, and that's not what we're doing. This is what I'm saying.
I don't feel any way about it. I just want to understand it, Mr. Mayor.
This is what I'm saying to you. You have roughly 500 parents who testify out of 1 million students. 500 out of 1 million. And so when they say that parents say they're not involved, they were looking at, based on those interviews of those 500 parents. And so what we should have done, and I hope we would have done, not just use a short period of time, did a more expansive search of what we're hearing every day. We have PTAs, we have CECs, we have PEPs, we have student councils. You hear voices from parents and children all the time in the Department of Education. And every elected would tell you this chancellor has been more receptive to sitting down and engaging with electeds and parents than probably the chancellor in the history of this city.
And Mayor, we just have a few minutes left, and before we let you go, I want to change topics to talk about squatters in New York City. There have been a lot of high-profile cases lately. You're working on legislation. What do you want to see done in terms of squatters and squatters' rights?
There's no legislation that has been put in place yet. We met with city council members. I know that some of our state lawmakers had a press conference this afternoon. We must make sure that we protect homeowners and don't have illegal people sitting in there, residents, and we're looking forward to doing that and hearing from the city council and our state lawmakers.
All right. Henry Rossoff, a reporter, covered a rally today on the topic of housing, on affordable housing, and a big part of that I know is happening in fixing zoning issues. So how close are we to actually seeing significant changes in the way zoning is done in the city?
Well, we are excited about the energy in Albany. Our team has been up there, my communications with the governor. We have to deal with the 1.4% vacancy rate that we are seeing right now. That is just not going to deal with this crisis. So we need to raise the FAR, allow us to build higher, do conversion of office spaces, look at things like basement apartments, and really make it easier to build. And that's why not only we need a state response, but here in the city as well with our City of Yes proposal that's going in front of the City Council.
Okay, Mayor Eric Adams, there's a lot of issues facing New Yorkers today.
Yes.
We thank you for taking the time to come on the Pix 11 News.